So we know the time is coming for a move from untrackable fiat to digital currency. We've been talking about this a lot. We know the introduction of CBDCs is coming. We've talked about the Unicoin and the icebreaker system, how putting those two things together basically creates the foundation for a one world currency and a one world economy. We've talked about all that stuff. But now we're just kind of waiting for the small quote unquote small things as far as digital IDs to be rolled out, because you need a digital ID in order for a CBDC to follow. And so we're seeing transitions globally to get everyone to that digital ID so the move to CBDC can take place. Now, we've talked about with Sam Altman's World ID, a part of his World Coin system, where it's biometric scanning of the retina, taking scans of the retina and attaching it to a digital ID for their e-wallets. And this is something that he's been working on, but a lot of other people have been working on it, and Nigeria is one. And one place that's been in hyperdrive as far as getting this going is Nigeria, with the launch of their e-Naira, that's their CBDC over there. We also just talked about how the Nigerian, we talked about this on Saturday, the Nigerian central bank is forcing banks to close accounts of those who don't sign up for their BVN, which is their bank verification number. And you need to give up biometric data and attach it to your bank account. Sorry for hitting that. With a fingerprint and a retina scan. So here we go with the eyes again. The eye seems to be taking hold as far as verification and all this stuff goes. And so that requires your fingerprint and your facial recognition, your retina scan, all that, and it'll attach to your bank account, basically latching you to an online identity, a digital identity to your account. You see how they're making that transition into that? And so we've talked about how first they bribe people, then they make it mandatory. Well, Nigeria has hit the mandatory thing where they said, hey, you either sign up for this or you don't participate with a bank account. Always under the guise of fraud protection, security, and verification, of course. They said that this transition is because there's so much fraud in Nigeria that we need to do this. No, it's just like we've talked about with the e-verify system, where they said, oh no, this is to stop mass migration and the immigration stuff, and to make sure that they're not taking jobs away from Americans, and what it has nothing to do with that. It's a Trojan horse. They always try and spruce it up with positive benefits, when in reality it has nothing to do with benefiting us at all. But new in Nigeria is coming the ID and bank card combination. This thing just keeps getting closer and closer. So Nigeria is set to combine their national ID and their bank card into one. So basically, like in America, if you pull out your driver's license to pay, you would pull out your driver's license to pay for your groceries or something. That's how they're rolling with this thing. This is working in tandem with the ID for Africa program, which is basically a branch off of the World Bank's ID4D program. Now, we've talked about this thing before. This thing, it's been in development for years, but it kind of started taking steam in 2020. Shock, right? Nigeria they're working with this ID4D program to reach 100 million digital IDs, as that's the World Bank target for this. And so if we read a little bit further on this, we'll get an idea of what's going on. You can see with 100 million digital national IDs, that's what the NIN basically means, now issued and counting, it remains to be seen if the country will meet the World Bank's recommendation of enrolling 148 million people into the digital ID by June 2024. That's probably why they made this jump with saying we'll close your bank account if you don't do this, because they're trying to hit that number, which that's a good way of doing it. You got to give them credit for that. It's evil, but it's genius. Although Pantami said in June last year that ID for Africa 2020 that the country was well on course of the target, the digital ID project in Nigeria has funding from the World Bank, of course, which set some target for the country with a partnership concluded in 2020 through the institution's ID40 program. If you guys don't know, one of the main funders behind this, of course, is the World Bank, but it's also the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and a bunch of other ones. We don't have time to go through all of those, but there is a bunch. When I say a bunch, I mean not a bushel, but a bunch of people that are no good behind that. What is my phone doing? Sorry. And of course, like I said, the goal is to get as many people off of cash as possible. That is the main goal. They want people off of fiat because it's untrackable, it's untraceable. You can do things behind the scenes with it. You can counter taxes with it. You can counter fees and all this stuff with it. They're trying to get people off that. They want something 100% trackable linked to you. They want your biometric data attached and the money attached to that so they can track everything. It's all about watching, always watching us. They always want to know what we are doing, thinking, saying, who we're talking to, where we're going, what we're buying, restricting what we're buying, all that stuff. We're seeing various scenarios and offerings to facilitate this, and 2020 was a big one. If you guys don't remember, 2020 had the coin shortage, and a lot of businesses started going cashless because they thought the virus is going to be on the money. We can't take the money. They're doing all this stuff. As far as the 2020 goes, about trying to get people off of cash. Staying home and ordering everything online was not only a giant wealth transfer to places like Amazon and Walmart, but it was getting people hooked more onto just buying digitally with trackable money. That's what that was about. There we go. But now we got something interesting coming out, and I've been sitting on this for a while, but again, I just got to find the moment that I can talk about it. Reverse ATMs. I got a little news clip here. Check this out.
Things are changing fast in this digital world, so much so that a growing number of businesses will not even accept cash anymore.
Yeah, they are starting to set up reverse ATMs. It quickly turns cash into a prepaid debit card to be used on the fly. And Dre Clark explains from New York City. Dre, I've never heard of this. Mitch has never heard of this. What's it about?
Yeah, I never heard of it either until I read about it last night. It's relatively new, but it's slowly but surely catching on. Cash is really still king, but reverse ATMs are definitely the way of the future as more businesses look for ways to go cashless. Here at Madison Square Garden in Midtown Manhattan, they already have machines inside the arena that can actually convert your cash into a debit card here. Now, here you can see exactly how it works. You load money into a kiosk like you see here, and within seconds, you can get a receipt confirming your conversion and a prepaid active card. Many of the prepaid cards are either MasterCard or Visa, and you can use them anywhere where those cards are accepted. Some kiosks may actually charge you a $5 fee for the card. Meanwhile, amusement parks, fast food restaurants, and many professional sports venues are already using the cash to card kiosks, and you'll start seeing more of them in airports and on college campuses. Business owners say they like the kiosk because it helps prevent theft and robberies, and it stops the spread of germs that can really be found on a lot of money that's downright dirty. Now, many people started going cashless during the pandemic because they did not want to touch money and coins, fearing they could contract the virus. Meanwhile, cities across the country like San Francisco, D.C., Philly, and New York, they actually have bans on cashless businesses. So business owners, by law, cannot refuse to accept any cash from a customer. Also, get this, the FDIC says up to 5% of U.S. households, or 6 million Americans, are considered unbanked. That means they don't have either a checking or savings account. They prefer to deal in strictly cash. So yeah, guys, it's relatively new, but here in New York City and other places around the country, this is the way of the future.
So you caught that last part when he's talking about the percentage of people who aren't linked to bank accounts. They like to do strictly cash. That's one of their targets. They want them tracked. They don't want anybody to be able to avoid this system. Now with the reverse ATMs, I mean, they will try anything to get people. I mean, most people, when they go to an ATM, they're trying to get cash out. Well, in this way, they're trying to get people onto a card because guess what? That card can be tracked. It can be traced. And so we're seeing, again, this transition. away from cash. And you even saw on there, he was talking about the 2020 thing with the germs and the money's dirty. And I don't know about you guys, but in my town, I'm seeing more and more stores and restaurants that are going cashless. They'll put a sign right on the front door that says we are cashless. I actually, when I was doing food delivery, I actually went in and I asked one, I said, if somebody comes in and they want to pay for something with cash, will you guys accept it? And they said they don't even have any cash in the building. They will not accept it. They will actually turn away the customer because they refuse to take cash. And we're going to start seeing more and more of that. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, that hurts the business. It does. It does. But when we start seeing more and more of these stores doing that, they're trying to lock out customers. They're trying to lock people out who refuse to play the game. We're going to see this continue to try and like bottleneck people into getting into this system. There's the bribery stuff. We've talked about that. Then they're trying to corral people with going cashless stores and all this stuff, reverse ATMs. They're trying any way possible to get people off of this money. Soon it'll just be, well, you either sign up for this or you don't get a bank account, like what we just saw in Nigeria. And so we continue to see this, and all of this is leading up to the coming mark of the beast. All of this is leading up to Revelation 13.